It is Thanksgiving week, and the news doesn't stop. The affordability debate has hit your Thanksgiving dinner table. President Trump welcomed New York Communist Mayor Zohran to the White House, and there is new momentum towards a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. All of that and so much more today on 10-Minute Drill.
Everybody get up, get up.
The story of America is the story of an adventure.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
We are a nation under God, and I believe God intended for us to be free.
As we kick off this week, there is new momentum towards a potential peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. But first, as a backdrop, CNN had some very interesting polling about how the American people feel about President Trump's work specifically on foreign policy.
Approve of Trump on foreign policy at this point in term one. Look, Donald Trump was just at a 35% approval rating. Up like a rocket. We're talking about 43% now. 21st century foreign policy approval rating at this point in term two. George W. Bush was down at 36%. Barack Obama was at 37%. Look at this. Donald Trump actually leads the pack at 43%.
So a lot of that support for his foreign policy doctrine is support for his larger goal of driving peace everywhere, whether it's in the Middle East, working with Israel to deal with Hamas, whether it's ending wars around the world, or even more recently, his effort to actually hold Vladimir Putin accountable and work with our European partners, strengthening NATO and making sure everyone understands who the actual aggressor in this war was. Which leads us into this weekend. First, there was a little bit of a flap when a draft came out that looked to be all of Russia's largest goals and ambitions for ending this conflict. It included things like Ukraine ceding land that Russia had not even won yet in the eastern part of the Donbass. Also things like Ukraine never being allowed to join NATO. Things that Russia has said throughout this process were their largest goals. And many also pointed out that this initial list appeared to have zero input from Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told a group of senators that that was not the final product. That was Russia's wish list to go into the talks. Marco Rubio met with representatives from both Russia and Ukraine in Geneva. And here's what he said about their talks up to this point.
We had a very good day today. I think we made a tremendous amount of progress, even from the last time I spoke to you, and I apologize for keeping you waiting, but there was more work to be done.
So Secretary Rubio's goal here has always been to make sure that Ukraine's priorities are a part of this negotiation and that we're not rewarding Vladimir Putin for his violent aggression in a way that will encourage him to do this again in the future. And so as Russia's making crazy demands that Ukraine can't have a military, can't defend themselves, can't be a part of any international protection organization, Ukraine is saying we need security guarantees. One of the biggest challenges, though, for Europe has been, unless other countries want to put boots on the ground and support Ukraine with actual fighting forces, there will have to be some kind of compromise. However, the idea of ceding massive land to Russia and essentially rewarding Putin's aggression is incredibly unpopular even among President Trump's supporters. This polling from the Vandenberg Coalition, timely polling from the Vandenberg Coalition showing the opinion of Trump voters on the prospect of forcing Ukraine to give up territory to end the war. It's staggeringly unpopular. Only 16% support the idea, whereas a 46% plurality support Ukraine's position here. Now, President Trump initially said that he wants this deal done by Thanksgiving. Secretary Rubio has said they're working towards that deadline, but will make sure that they try and get this right as much as they can. Last weekend, President Trump welcomed newly elected New York Mayor Zohran. Here's President Trump talking about Zohran back in June.
He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York.
Now, those who have followed President Trump closely know that he has a unique style of diplomacy, both for foreign leaders, but also for domestic leaders like this. But many were surprised at just how friendly the meeting with Mamdani actually was.
You know, we had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have.
One of the more interesting notes was when reporters tried to get both Trump and Mamdani to discuss previous attacks they had made on each other.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
So that was a little bit quirky. It is a bit of a reminder that everyone's rhetoric is overheated and not always often grounded in what they actually believe. But A lot of people point out that Republican efforts to make Zohran Mamdani the boogeyman through the midterms might now face a challenge because President Trump's embrace of Zohran and even some of his ideas. Now, Zohran hasn't slowed down. Here he is on the Sunday shows, again, talking about President Trump.
Just to be very clear, do you think that President Trump is a fascist?
And after President Trump said that, I said yes. And
so you do.
And that's something that I've said in the past. I say it today.
We can only guess that there is a larger 5D chess strategy in trying to work with Zohran, or as Kamala Harris would say, 3D chess, to try and actually work cooperatively with New York, which is one of the most important cities in the country, and the fact that having an explosive blow-up meeting wouldn't have necessarily been helpful to President Trump's goals. But we will watch and see how this all shakes out over the next few months. Last week, a number of elected Democrats turned heads when they released this video.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
Now, the Democrats are trying there to sow doubt in chain of command. They want soldiers on the ground, members of our military, to begin to question the orders from the commander-in-chief. This is both scary for chain of command, but also scary for separation of powers. Members of Congress might be involved in funding the military, but it is the commander-in-chief that gives the orders, and they want people to doubt or second guess before following what they're told to do. It's been really bizarre to watch Democrats try and defend it. Here's Alyssa Slotkin over the weekend when she was asked specifically to explain a little bit deeper what their thinking was in making this video.
That's a pretty tough thing to look at and say, how do I navigate this?
Look, if you're going back to Nuremberg, right, that, well, they told me to do it, that's why I murdered people, is not an excuse. If you look at popular culture, there's you watch, A Few Good Men, we have plenty of examples since World War II.
Wow. So the two things that she cites there, first, Nuremberg. So I don't know if she wanted to make the comparison between members of our armed forces and the Nazis who were held accountable at Nuremberg, or if she is suggesting that members of the military are killing people in the streets, but that already is insane. But then the second point, she cites A Few Good Men, which is a movie. And if you're trying to make a case for an action or trying to gin up concern about something, and the best thing you have to cite is a fictional movie, Jack Nicholson is very good in that movie, but again, it's not real. So that's very, very scary to see.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Now, Democrats have already hinted that if they retake power in the midterms, they might look at ways to prosecute individual ICE agents even if they're following orders they've been given. So this is a part of a larger plan here to get other officers, whether they're law enforcement or immigration agents or members of the armed services, to doubt the orders they're getting, which again is a very, very scary thing. But Alyssa Slotkin also talked about law enforcement officers and her concern about them.
We're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians.
Wow. So not only did she compare members of the military to Nazis at Nuremberg, but now she's worried that police might randomly start shooting at people because they're confused. An outrageous statement. Again, the entire goal here is to both scare people, but also to get members of law enforcement, the military, everywhere, to second guess the orders they have, even if they're things like maintaining order or arresting dangerous criminal illegal immigrants. This is a huge problem. But perhaps most importantly of all, as you watch all of this play out, here's Alyssa Slotkin being asked if she's seen President Trump actually make any of these illegal orders.
Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal.
This is Democrats being theater kids, but it has major, major risks for our safety as they continue to try and ratchet up pressure and resistance energy without considering the costs to our armed services, to our law enforcement, to everybody else that they are sort of tacitly either threatening or attacking through all of this. As we talked about last week, President Trump is focused on the affordability issue and affordability messages. This week, that is reaching our Thanksgiving dinner tables.
According to the American Farm Bureau Federation's annual survey, cooking Thanksgiving dinner will also cost less this year. than it did last year and is down about 5% overall. The average price for a staple of the meal, a 16-pound frozen turkey, is down more than 16% from last year.
Since he was elected, President Trump has been meeting extensively with retailers, trying to figure out ways to lower costs of goods and support them in doing that. One thing that a lot of stores are doing this Thanksgiving that the White House has extensively touted is bundling the ingredients and materials for your Thanksgiving dinners. Here are a few highlights. The Target Thanksgiving deal, feed 4 people for less than $20. Walmart's holiday meal basket, feed 10 for $39.93. Stop and Shop, feed 10 people for under $40. Food Lion, feed 10 for less than $40. And there were others highlighted from Aldi, Amazon, Kroger, Sam's Club, and more. So again, while Americans are concerned about prices on a lot of different things, the Trump administration's ability to say the cost of Thanksgiving dinner is down 5% overall from last year is a helpful metric. Just in time for Thanksgiving, an organization called Black Votes Matter is launching a boycott campaign against a number of major retailers at weaintbuyingit.com. They're boycotting Target for rolling back their DEI initiatives, Amazon for holding a monopolistic position in the market, and Home Depot for allowing ICE agents to illegally detain and kidnap laborers. Now, really quick there, Target ending their DEI programs is about getting rid of racial quotas and preferences, which are deeply unpopular, and Target's moves there were applauded by a wide range of Americans. And Home Depot isn't doing anything illegal there. They're simply allowing law enforcement to do their jobs, which is deport dangerous criminal illegal immigrants, which still, to this day, has about 65% support among the American people. Why would a group like Black Votes Matter get behind this? Well, because Black Votes Matter is an astroturfed operation funded by none other than George Soros. So again, this has been described as an effort to rekindle the energy of the No Kings protest, which also were funded and organized by George Soros. So one more time for those in the back, every major Democrat energy movement has actually been simply an astroturfed operation by foreign billionaires like George Soros, foreign pervert Hans-Jörg Wyss, or many others. For our You Can't Make It Up segment today, we have a very fun media mention. Now, I have talked extensively before about how Hakeem Jeffries is one of the worst people to do interviews we've seen in a very long time. Not only are his eyes dead and lifeless, but his talking points are incredibly boring. And one thing that we have seen in the last couple of weeks is members of the media getting a little bit tired of hearing it. Here is Becky Quick on CNBC with Hakeem Jeffries.
That if you want to get something that has actually done, you need to do something that will have bipartisanship.
You can ask me the question. You can ask me the question. I'll provide the answer.
Answer the question instead of going back.
I'll provide the answer. No. I'm providing an answer in order to provide context. Republicans have repeatedly.
Now, one more time, we need to show that eye roll in slow motion.
Context. Republicans have repeated.
That's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in media, because Becky is all of us in that moment. Hakeem Jeffries is one of the laziest politicians in the world when it comes to trying to win a fight. He just wants people to believe that if they keep saying the same things and if they tweet hard enough, they're going to win these fights. And when they talk about things like healthcare, Democrats don't have any plan to actually fix anything apart from throwing more money at it. And Becky Quick understands that, and she's not going to take it anymore. Cheers for Becky. That is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on 10 Minute Drill. We will have a very short special on Thursday, but for those of you who don't care to listen to podcasts on Thanksgiving Day, we understand. Have a great day.